Valerie.
Okay, awesome. So let's see who we got here. And if you guys have any questions throughout anything, make sure to speak up because I'm on my phone and I won't be able to see everybody's faces. But today I got you guys that list of just basic makeup for your base, your eyes, eyebrows, and lips. And it honestly depends on what character you're playing. So we're doing Cinderella. If you're going to play a little mouse, you know, it's going to be a lot different than being a human and doing that. But what I like to do is take pictures of people in shows and do my makeup like that. So if I was playing one of like Gus Gus, I would look up a picture of somebody on Broadway playing Gus Gus and trying to recreate that onto my face. But today we're just gonna do a basic overall thing, something that is really important to note, the difference of everyday makeup and stage makeup is that you're working with lighting. And the cool thing is that we can use that to our advantage because the lights are coming from above and from the side and sometimes from the bottom. So you're going to be emphasizing the shadows in your face, the highlights in your face, and we can really use that to our advantage and play around with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if you guys want to follow along or take notes, feel free. But the most important thing that you want to do before doing anything with makeup is to moisturize your face. This is going to help put a barrier between your skin and all that heavy makeup that we're going to put on because it's going to be a lot heavier than everyday makeup. So I'm going to start by moisturizing my face. And then in that list, I had added some primers, and primers are very important because it's going to help the makeup stick on all night. If you have show lights on your face, that can result in some melting. So if you don't have something that is going to keep your makeup on all night throughout the shows, throughout your quick changes, then something like a primer is going to be really important. So in that list, I had mentioned the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And I like this one because it's kind of like a moisturizer as well. Okay, so I'm just going to scoop a little bit out, and the consistency is super thick. So again, that barrier. And then you just rub it in as if you would with lotion. All over the face. And something that I noticed when I did shows in school is that when I was super young, I would have acne or oily skin. So putting this around what's called your T-zone is super important. So this is your T-zone right here. This is the areas where you get super oily. So just make sure that that is all rubbed in. It's basically like a second moisturizer. So now, something also super important, all of this is super important, but just key notes is to use a foundation that is full coverage because you don't want your natural skin showing through unless that's what your character is. They don't wear any makeup, then you wouldn't put any makeup on. But most shows have people do makeup. So I'm taking a full coverage foundation. What that means is that you're not going to be able to see my skin through this. So it's the color of my skin. And I'm going to just put this in different sections of my face, and then we're going to blend it out later. So it's going to look a little funny and crazy here. Some foundations come with a pump, and you just apply it with your fingers.
How do you know what color to go with, Valerie? Because it seems very light for your face.
So I have a red undertone. I have a very fair face, which means that I have a lot of blood flowing through and you can see it. Yeah. But I like to match it with the color of my neck
Okay.
right here because there's not a lot of like capillaries showing there. So it kind of matches. And then when you blend it out, it'll look a lot more even. You want to make sure that you're blending it down your neck. I know I look crazy right now. But then when you contour, you're not going to look like super flat. So right now I'm taking a beauty sponge and I want to show you guys a really important tip is to get it damp. So you run it under the sink, you squeeze it a couple of times, and then I like to take a paper towel and kind of wring it out like this. And I want to show you the difference of a non-wet sponge between a wet sponge. So it grows like 2 times in size. And that's super important because it's not going to absorb all the product that you have on your face, because the product that you want on your face, you want it to be there. You don't want it to be soaked up by a sponge. So what I'm doing in tapping motions, I'm blending this out. I'm going under my eye, all around my face. And if I could speed this up, I would, but I like to take my time. And making sure it's all blended. So you can see that connects really nicely to my neck. You definitely don't want a line of just like darker foundation because then you're gonna look crazy. So I'm blended. And you don't want to rub because that's going to take the product off, if you guys can see. You want to dab. And then that puts it back on. The cool thing about these sponges is that this tip can get into fine spaces like under your eyes and around your nose. So I'm just blending. And if you were using a dry sponge, this would take twice as long. So make sure to get your sponge damp. Okay, now I'm not looking so crazy anymore, huh? Okay. So now that I have that on the list, I put one of my favorite concealers that I have ever used, and it's from the drugstore, and it's $6. And this is awesome, 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 because it's like using a high-end concealer. And what I love about concealer is that not only will it conceal like blemishes or my under eye circles, it'll also help brighten. So when I talk about show lights hitting your face, you're gonna add highlights to where the light will naturally hit your face. So for me, I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. I'm gonna put that right here on the bridge of my nose and on my T-zone, because you can see the lights hitting that. So you wanna emphasize that. So I'm just gonna take some of this and I'm gonna put some right there, right here. And concealer is a lot thicker than foundation. Bridge of the nose, the tip of my nose, just a little right here, here, and right here, because I want this to be brighter. Then I'm going to take my same sponge and I'm going to start blending that out the same way that I did with my foundation. And you can add the concealer. So I know you probably can't tell, but I have a little tiny blemish right there. It's not going to be noticeable from the stage, but I'm going to conceal it anyway. So again, I'm using that tip to get right in there, make sure everything is blended out. So that, if you can see the difference from this side of my face to this side of my face, my eyes are now more lifted. And that's what we want. The light is hitting all the right places now. So my concealer is 1 to 2 shades lighter than my foundation, and that's really important if we're going to be highlighting with our concealer. So now everything is looking nice and blended. I didn't put this on the list because I think it's a little bit advanced, but I really love using cream blushes underneath powder blushes, and especially for the stage, it might be a plus to do that because lights can wash you out and you don't want to look washed out. So this is a blush, and I'm going to put a couple of dots on my face, and I'm going to take the same sponge, and in circular motions, I'm going to tap, 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 tap right on to my cheeks. And I like putting it higher than what I would usually do, because again, it's going to lift your face. Unless you're doing age makeup, that's another topic. If you're doing age makeup, then you'd put all of your products down lower, because when you age, your face naturally goes down. Gravity is taking over.
Oh, I know it well.
So with that cream blush, life has come back to my face. I'm no longer pale. And what I like to do is take the excess that I have and put some on the tip of my nose and put some on my chin. So I look alive now. Okay. Now, over the years, I've learned not to use a pressed powder just because I feel like I can get more coverage. When you use cream products like a foundation, a concealer, a cream blush, you want to set that. Otherwise, your makeup's going to slip and slide, and you don't want to do that. And using a pressed powder is nice for just putting it on your T-zone, but you really, when you're on the stage, you don't want anything to move. So I highly, highly recommend Coty Airspun powder. And this is a powder that you can get at Walmart for $6 or $7, and it is my go-to. I've used it for everyday makeup, and I use it for stage makeup. So what I did was I just tapped some of this loose powder into the lid, and this powder is translucent, so it's not going to add any color to my face. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to dip it in, coat it nice and well. Should look like that. And then I'm going to press it where I applied my heaviest cream products. So like that. And places that will slip and slide, like the corner of my nose. I'm going to place that in there.
It's translucent, but what if you're really dark skinned?
It's translucent.
Okay,
And
so
they
it'll
do
blend in with.
Yeah, it'll blend in. But they do have different shades too.
Okay.
But those shades, they're not. So there's the translucent Coty Airspun, and then there's shade by shade.
Got it.
I just like translucent because it works for everybody. And this is the powder that I've used when I came and did shows for you. I would use this powder on everybody, and it just melts in.
Okay.
So I place that concealer here and here, and I'm going back in and I'm dipping when I need it. And I'm going to put it on my T-zone underneath my chin. And here's where I'm going to stop using this, and I'm going to take a fluffy brush like this. This is called the powder brush, and this is also from e.l.f. I wrote it down on the shopping list, and e.l.f. has, huh?
If you look in the chat, I put it all into the chat.
Yeah. This is on there. They have great sets. My mom got me one for Christmas. They're very inexpensive. So with this brush, I'm going to set the rest of my face because I don't want the other parts of my face moving around either. But what the sponge does, it really soaks up that heavy product. So I'm tapping, I'm just using a little bit where I think I need it. And I'm going in with a light hand. I don't want my product to move around. And then I'm going to lightly dust off the excess of the powder that we placed. So now my face is ready for powder products after I have set my face with a translucent powder. So I'm gonna put this back in here. Be very careful with this step. And it gets everywhere. So now going back to playing with shadows and stage lights, I'm gonna take a bronzer, and a bronzer is a deeper shade of powder, just like a blush. So a blush is pink, this is more brown toned, and I'm gonna use a cool toned bronzer, and I'm gonna take a brush. This is also from e.l.f. It comes in that pack. This is a contour brush. It's kind of tapered, so it's really gonna get into the places where the shadows hit. So here's my highlight, here's my shadow, the darkest areas. So that's gonna be your cheekbones, the side of your nose, your forehead a little bit, and your jawline. So that's really important to note. So I'm gonna take some of this on my brush, and I don't want too much because you can really go wrong here. You don't want to look like Snooki from the Jersey Shore. So to apply this, I'm just gonna suck in my cheeks, and I'm gonna follow the natural line that I already have going on right here, and I'm just gonna emphasize that. This is where the stage lights are gonna pick up, and it's gonna make you look like you have a defined bone structure. So I'm kind of going in swiping motions, circles, just to make sure it's all blended in. And I'm gonna take it up to my temple, because what I don't want is just a line. Because when you look at me from the front, you can see this is more chiseled and this is more round. Oops. Headlights fall. So again, I'm just adding that here. And I'm taking it up. And I'm not gonna dip my brush back in, okay? I'm gonna just use the excess to give my forehead a little bit of definition and my jawline. This side, I'm gonna blend this more. And if you feel like you went too heavy, you can always use your powder brush and your translucent powder and blend it out even more. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this brush and I'm gonna hold it like this. And I'm gonna kind of squeeze it so it's a lot thinner. And I'm gonna go right here from my eyebrow down. Noses can really get washed out with stage lights. That's something I've noticed. So you want to make sure you're adding back that definition. Here and here. I think the favorite noses I've done was the Whoville noses. Those are my favorite to do. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with some
pink,
powdered
right?
blush.
Weren't they pink or something?
They were like orange and pink.
Yeah.
It was so cute. Yeah.
Those are cute.
So now I'm gonna take some powdered blush. Now this one's kind of hard to open. Oh, just kidding. I opened it. It's just a powdered version of what I already put on, but if you skip that step, this is really important. So I'm gonna take a blush brush. It's kind of a smaller version of your powder brush. And I'm gonna lightly dip my brush in and I'm gonna tap off the excess because I do not want to look super, super red. And if you smile, you can see the apples of your cheeks. That's where you want that to go. Again, the tip of my nose and my chin. So I look like I have life. Now I'm going to go in with some highlighter. You learned that the hard way, Zoe? Oh yeah, I know. I'm gonna take some highlighter, and highlighter is a more shinier version of what we did with the concealer. So right now, if we're looking at my face, you can see the light is hitting my upper cheekbone right here. Now, when I add this highlighter, it's going to emphasize that and it's going to kind of glow so that the lights will pick up on your face. So I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is called the highlight brush. And I'm going to take this highlighter. It's super shiny, so you don't want to use a lot. See that? It picks up on the light. So I'm just going to go in with my brush a little bit. And I'm going to swipe it on. There it is. You can see it. Ooh, that's all you need. Very light. You don't want to go too crazy with this. There we go. So where I highlighted with the concealer, I'm going to go on top with some highlighter, add some on top of my nose and the bridge of my nose, my cheek, or my chin, and just on my forehead a little bit. So now if I was on the stage, my face wouldn't be super washed out if you just had foundation on. Okay, so now that is the base. I'm gonna move on to eyebrows. This is where I like to have fun with theater because eyebrows show expression. And someone who is playing the stepmom. Okay, so
I'm
with
playing
that, you're playing the stepmom. So with that, she's very mean. You can really do anything with your eyebrows. That's what shows expression on your face. And if you look at reference photos, she has super thin brows and they're kind of just like gruely looking. So that's where I like to have fun. If you were more kinder, you would do a sweeter brow, a lighter brow. I could just go on like this. But for the purpose of showing you how to do brows, I listed a brow pencil in the shopping list, and I don't have one because I have super light brows and I just like to use a different product, but you'd essentially use it the same way. So I'm going to take what's called a brow pomade and an angled brush with this is called a spoolie. This is going to help brush your brows out and blend that color in. So very lightly, I'm going to dip my brush and I'm going to take the other side and I'm going to brush my brows up and comb them to the side. Brush my brows up and comb them to the side. So now they're looking a lot fuller and tamed. They're not all crazy. And then with my product, I'm going to start on the underside of my brow and I'm going to outline from the middle going down. And I'm following my natural brow line, just like that. And then I'm going to go on to the top and I'm going to connect that tail and then I'm going to go in and fill it in. And I did that with a very light hand because I don't want a super sharp brow, unless that's what your character looks like.
If you were playing someone evil.
If you're playing someone evil, you're going to do evil brows, and you can kind of mimic the way that that's going to look by playing around with your brows and then kind of drawing them on. You're basically just drawing onto your face.
And Zoe plays a stepsister. You can get a little wackadoo too.
Oh yeah, you can. So for eyebrows, if you have super light hair, like blonde hair, light brown hair, I'd go 2 shades darker.
I'll tell you, you got a Cinderella, that's Savannah. She played Cinderella.
Okay.
You got a Prince, that's Emmett. Still important to do your
Yeah.
makeup too.
Yeah, it is.
Paige is a townsperson / little maiden. And Shwashpati is a stepmother.
Stepmother. Okay.
You got a stepsister and a stepmom.
So your brows would be kind of crazy. Again, just look at reference photos and draw them right on. And so I'm blending kind of as if I was using like a colored pencil. You don't want to like go on super hard. You just want to kind of feather it. And when I get to the front of my brow, what I like to do is take something like this and map out the front of your brow with the end of your nostril. And that should tell you where to end your brows. Same thing, corner of the eye, that's where it should end. This right in the middle of the iris is where the arch is going to go. So that's a really cool tip. So it's all mapped out. So as you can see, I have super fair eyebrows. Now with this eyebrow, I come to life more. I have more expression on my face. You can see what I'm doing when I'm talking. So I'm going to go in and do the other brow. Again, I'm starting at the middle, bottom, and I'm outlining my eyebrow to the tail end. And then the top to the tail end, and they're going to connect right there. So you can see that blank space. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. The tail of your brow for stage makeup, I like it to be darker. And then I don't want to dip into any more product because I'm using a pomade. I'm just going to use what is left on my brush to fill the rest in. And if you feel like you went too dark, you can always take your spoolie and this will kind of blend it out.
Yeah,
and make it less
is more.
harsh.
Kids tend to like go really heavy. They're
really crazy.
like, whoa, take it down, kids, take it down.
Yeah.
But it is important for stage to make it stand out, but you don't want to look too standoffish.
Exactly.
You're highlighting the lights.
Okay, so now I feel like my eyebrows look like sisters and not twins, and that's okay. So they don't have to look perfect because we're humans and our face isn't always symmetrical. Something I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a eyebrow gel to hold my eyebrow hairs in place, because if I rub my face in a scene like this, I don't want my eyebrow hairs to move, and I don't want the color to be pushed around my face. So I'm gonna take an eyebrow gel, and this is clear, and I'm going to brush my hairs up again. Brush my hairs up and swipe them down. You can kind of see a lot better now that my eyebrows are filled in. Up. And I'm starting from the bottom. And from the top, I'm swiping down. So now my eyebrows are not going to move during the show. Okay, now I'm going to put my hair up because I'm getting kind of hot. And this is optional. This is optional, but I highly recommend learning how to do this as soon as possible because it's going to make you look more alive. Now, on the stage, we tend to put on false lashes with eyelash glue, and that you need a parent to help you with that. You cannot do that by yourself, and it takes practice. Just with anything, it takes practice. But I'm going to avoid that because I naturally have long eyelashes. You just can't see them right now. So I'm going to take an eyelash curler, and this can look very intimidating and scary. And that's why I say it's optional, but I highly recommend to do some research and watch some YouTube videos and learn how to do it, because it's going to help volumize and emphasize. And again, with the eyebrows, it's going to add expression. So I'm not going to give a tutorial for this, but you can kind of see and follow what I'm doing. I'm kind of like doing a scissor motion onto my eyelashes, and I'm moving it up and up so I have a curled effect. There are tons of great videos out there on how to do this. That's how I learned too, and I learned by watching my mom do it. Okay, so now my eyelashes are curled. Next step is to add mascara. Now, you can either do your eyeshadow first or your mascara first. I have to do my mascara first because my eyelashes are so long. The mascara tends to get all over my eyelids, and I have to just wipe off my eyeshadow anyway. So when you're practicing makeup and you're having a show, you're going to find out what works best for you, and there's no right order. Makeup is different for everybody, and everybody likes to do things their own way, and that's okay. So I'm going to take my mascara, and this is waterproof. That's very important. If you're crying in a scene or water gets thrown on your face during a show, you don't want to look like you're all messed up, unless that's what the scene says. It depends. So if that's what the scene says and you're supposed to have mascara running down your face, then you wouldn't use a waterproof mascara. But for the sake of making things last all night, I'm going to use waterproof. Now, this is scary too. I was definitely scared to start using mascara when I was younger, but you get used to it and you make all sort of crazy faces. You go like, and it's kind of just how your face moves when you're starting to put on mascara. But what I'm doing, I'm coating and I'm combing through my lashes like this, and I'm making sure that every single one is coated, and this is going to help to lift like that. Now you guys can see I'm getting mascara all over my eyelid, and that's why I do not do my eyeshadow first. Now I'm going to dip back in and do the other eye. I'm kind of wiggling and moving up. Making sure the tips are all coated. And I'm kind of angling the mascara wand downwards and moving up to reach the eyelashes on the inner corners of my eyes. And I'm doing this very gently. I don't want to stab my eye. And now here comes the fun part. I'm going to do my bottom lashes. This is optional. This is optional if you have naturally dark eyelashes, but let's say we were doing a show like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, you'd want to look like a doll. I'd suggest using mascara on your bottom lashes to make that more emphasized, or you're playing a doll. So now you can actually see, oh my gosh, Valerie has eyelashes. They're there. Okay, so now I'm gonna take some Q-tips and some makeup remover, and I'm gonna take all of the mascara off from my eyelids to make a clean space for my eyeshadow. So I'm just using some makeup remover. And gently wiping that off. Now, if you're using a waterproof mascara, you can't just take this off with water. You're going to want to use an oil-based makeup remover. Neutrogena makes a great one to remove mascara from your eyes. I have to touch this up because that just rubbed off. Everything is fixable. There we go. So now that I have my mascara on, this is where being your character comes in. That's why I had put in the shopping list a natural eyeshadow palette versus a colorful eyeshadow palette. And we've used them a lot doing shows with JoJo. So I'm gonna show you guys what exactly I mean by neutral versus colorful. So here I have a very neutral toned eyeshadow palette, and it's got your sparkle and it's got mattes, and I'll talk about that more. Now this is a crazy eyeshadow palette. It has blue and purple and red, and that's where you're gonna play around. And I will tell you guys, when using a natural eyeshadow palette, it's the same process as when using a colorful eyeshadow palette. So I'll show you guys. I'm going to take a flat brush like this, and I'm going to take the lightest shade in my palette, and I'm going to coat my brush, tap off the excess, and I'm going to put this all over my eyelid. All over, all the way up to the brow bone, the lightest color, because this is going to be your base. I want my eyeshadows to stay on. Oh, I see a doggy. Hello. So I'm putting this all over. It's kind of like a wash of color. Now, if your character is just super natural like Emmett, you don't have to put on eyeshadow, but you can. Like, this looks very natural. So you could stop here and this would be your prince look.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you want to look at Cinderella on Broadway and see what the guy, his makeup was.
Absolutely.
He
Absolutely.
definitely has contouring and stuff going down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's where your bronzer would come in. Or your contour. I just use the same thing, but they can be two different products. Okay, so with the same brush, I'm going to take the darker shade in my palette and coat that. Now, this is where you're going to add definition to your eyes, whether that be with, like, let's say we were doing a crazy look and we were doing all blue. I'd take the lightest blue color and I'd put it all over, and then I'd take the darkest blue color and add it right here. This is called the outer V and my crease. So I'm going to put that here. So when you look straight up, here's your crease, and you can see there's this V shape going on right here. I'm gonna go ahead and define that just like we did using contour in our cheekbones. So see, woo, there we go. And I'm going in windshield wiper motions, and that's going to help to blend. This is a blending brush. That's very important to know. And I'm creating a little V right here on the outer corner of my eye. So that looks a lot more different and defined than this eye. Again, taking this shade. And I'm going in my crease. this, windshield wiper motions, and my outer corner, making it a V. So this, again, it really depends on the character you're playing. If I was just playing a normal girl, this is where I'd stop and I'd just add some lipstick. Emmett, I'd stop at you don't even have to do the lashes. I'd just do your base and that's all. Paige, this is where I'd stop for you. Let's see. Zoe, who are you playing?
Stepsister.
You're playing the stepsister?
Yeah.
This is where I'd stop too. She does have some crazy lips. You could kind of make them a lot smaller. So that's fun. So I'm going to move on to that. Here I have a lip liner pencil. You've probably seen your mom. If your mom wears makeup, probably seen this. So I'm going to start, it's like coloring. So I'm going to follow the lines. I don't want to go outside the lines. So here I'm just going to outline as if I were drawing and connecting that there. And here again, this is called the Cupid's bow. And then I'm following the line down and connecting everything together. Now, this looks obviously crazy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill in just like if you were coloring a coloring book. You don't want to go outside the lines.
I will tell you, Valerie, Brooks, I invited Brooke to come to the lesson today. She's speaking, but she's going to come and help do makeup backstage.
Oh, good.
She's a student of Valerie's.
Yes, we love Brooke. Good for her. She's going to have fun. Okay.
Carla's just arrived. She's going to hop over and say hi.
Oh, let me see.
Wait, no, he's here. He's just, he's in my house.
Oh,
You can see
Carlos.
Hi.
You can't.
Hi. Where's your face?
So
Thank you. Say hi, everybody.
cute.
Oh, here comes Miss Brenda.
Okay.
Okay, Valerie, I'm going to turn off your recording, but
Okay.
keep finishing up. If anybody has any questions,